Yes, guys, welcome back to another video. And on topic, you know what I mean, with the coronation tomorrow, we thought we would find out who the king of Manchester City is. Now, the 4 names that we're going to give out, right? But you can feel free, lads, to add anyone else's name into the hat. If you want to throw someone else into the ring, that's fine. It's the man that you can see behind Big Steve, Sergio Aguero, yeah, KDB, David Silva, and Colin Bell himself as well. As I say, you can throw in anyone else that you want to. I'm just going to kick it off, right, and say, I'm not going to tell you who I think it is right now. I've always kind of been a little bit different to, I think, the majority of City fans who had David Silva above Aguero. I always had Aguero above Silva. Where are you guys on it? Lads, I'll come to you first. Where were you on that? Was you a Silva over Aguero, or was you Aguero over Silva?
Well, growing up, obviously, you're watching football. You're paying attention to the game. You're not looking at the guy. Well, for me, I wasn't looking at the guy passing the balls through. I was looking at who's scoring the goals. Do you know what I mean? So for me, in my head back then, it was definitely Aguero. But in hindsight, kind of looking back at it, David Silva was such a special player. So for me, they're probably about level for me now. But back when they were playing, it was Aguero for me.
That's interesting. Honestly, I didn't realize you were going to say that. I thought I was like one of the rare breed of Aguero over Silva. Steve, where was you on the Silva Aguero thing?
Sergio, innit? Look, Aguero.
Mate, what the hell, man? I thought I was in the minority. I'm not. I just
Always
living
Sergio.
in
Always Sergio. Love David Silva. Don't get me wrong. It was mint, and you probably don't get the levels of Sergio without David. But Aguero was just different for me. The way he came in, he was a real superstar. And, you know, they were saying he wasn't built for the Prem, he was too small. But you look at the goals and the output from him, you know, I never thought we'd see that again in a City shirt. Obviously, this season's different. We've seen a freak show. But Sergio, mate, I love him. I love him to death. And, yeah, he's just my hero. So I can't go against Serge.
First. Come on, Hugh, for the content, man. Tell me that David Silva is up there better than Aguero, bro.
I hate to break it to you, my hero is Sergio Aguero.
Nah. Oh, wow. Honestly, right. Normally, if you speak to City fans, most of the City fans usually say David Silva is like the best player ever played for Manchester City. So I genuinely, because we didn't prepare this, I genuinely thought like maybe a couple of you would have said David Silva, but do
you know what it is? It's just because I was still a child when Aguero first arrived at the club, and probably the exact same as Luke. I didn't watch football and go, oh, that's beautiful play, the build-up play. Look at the way he picked out that pass, he threaded that through. That's David Silva written all over. I think it's more people who understand the game and are slightly older would appreciate that sort of thing. But all through my teenage years, Aguero terrorized the best defenses in Europe, and I was just seeing this guy put the ball in the back of the net non-stop to a level that I just didn't think was possible. So he was just that guy for me. Sergio Aguero was the finisher, he was the killer, he was the dagger. And as I got older, I'd look back and I saw obviously the tail end as a early adult of David Silva, and I was like, he's just magnificent. And then I had a massive appreciation for Vincent Kompany, for the personality he was. Great footballer, of course, but the personality and the leadership of Vincent Kompany, these aren't things that you really understand or particularly care about when you're, 11, 12, 13, 14 years old. So just because of the longevity and the nostalgia, it'll always be Sergio Aguero for me.
That's crazy. I reckon we're going to trigger a lot of City fans there, man, because I can say usually when I hear this conversation, it's Silva. So for us, all 4 of us to say it's Aguero, that's pretty crazy. Now, something that I've been saying about Kevin De Bruyne over the last few years is I've always said I believe that Kevin De Bruyne, if he stays at Manchester City for another couple of years, will be Manchester City's greatest ever player for me, right, above Sergio Aguero. In the last couple of months, I think I've already started to hit that sort of level. Now, some people might need to wait a bit longer. Some people might want us to see us win the Champions League. But some of the stuff that he's doing at the moment, boys, I mean, I'll come to you, Steve, on this one. I mean, where are you on the sort of Kevin De Bruyne? Because for me now, I'm going to put it out there. I think Kevin De Bruyne, for me, is the best player I've ever seen play for Manchester City. Where are you on the sort of Kevin De Bruyne situation? Do you think he needs more games, maybe win a Champions League?
Yeah, it's hard work because the statues were dished out a bit early. I think that we dished them out. We got a bit giddy, thinking probably wouldn't hit certain levels again, but we're getting better than that now, and it's becoming the norm. I think the numbers Kevin De Bruyne has hit in his career at Man City just don't lie. And I think that's an argument with David Silva. I think he was that good every game. People just took it for granted. So he was always an 8, 9 out of 10 every game. And people just expected that level of performance. So he sailed under the radar to a lot of people because they were used to him just performing like that. Whereas Kev's the same, you know what I mean? Kevin will do a pass now, and we just take it for granted. But if any other player did that in a team, it'd be on Match of the Day reel over and over again. Because it's De Bruyne, we just know that's the quality it is. I mean, I think these players will start to get the appreciation when they finally retire, and that's when I think people look back. Like what Luke was saying with David Silva, we all got caught up in the Aguero hype. I was guilty of it myself. We love it. He's a leader and all that. But I used to talk to my dad and my granddad when I was leaving the game. I'd drive back and for an hour I'd be talking to my granddad, and he was old school, and he'd be saying like, David Silva today. And I'd be like, yeah, but Aguero. And he'd go, honestly, David. And then when I get home and rewatch the game, then I'd think, yeah, David Silva, man, ran the show. And it's about opinions, isn't it? But it's a good opinion when we're all discussing the greats from Manchester City and we're not talking about anyone else. But De Bruyne's right up there. He's definitely on the verge of greatness at Man City. And this season, with the team we've got, if we can get over the line in the positions, then I think that just cements it.
So is that what for you then? Are you not ready to say just yet that he is the best player? You need him to maybe wait until he moves on, maybe win a Champions League. Are you not ready to say that Kevin De Bruyne right now is the best City player?
Well, I think it's hard because if we win the league, we've done that before with Yaya Toure, we've done it before with Aguero and all that. We've won the FA Cups, League Cups and all that. So yeah, they're special players and we love them, but they've all done the same. They've brought these domestic trophies to Man City. If we was to get to that Champions League and win it, and Kevin De Bruyne ran the show in the final and delivered that trophy, it's something none of the others have got. Do you know what I mean? To see Kev holding that on an open-top bus going down Ashton New Road, it's fucking unreal, man. I'm getting excited now talking, but you need to stop it. Get me all going and that. But yeah, I think that separates him from the rest.
Yeah, lads. Are you where you at? Are you with Steve? Maybe needing to wait a little bit longer, win the champs, or are you with me calling it now?
He's definitely my favourite player, De Bruyne, currently. And he has been in the last few years, but I don't think you can quite say he is the best player of all we've ever had, because his career at City's not finished. So you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know. You'd hope things end well, but I want to wait for a player to kind of finish his time at City before he even enters that category, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You know, even Haaland now, we could keep Haaland 7 years. He could get 600 goals every season. I wouldn't want to even discuss where he was at until he moved on from City. So for me, De Bruyne, even though he might be by the time he leaves City, be in that conversation, he's not really quite in the conversation yet for me, because I want to see what else happens. Do you know what I mean? Like Steve said, there's more to come. Anything could happen now. So for me, I'd look at the other three before De Bruyne, but he definitely will be in the conversation by the time he leaves, I'd say.
Hugh, where are you at?
I find it really tough. I think Luke kind of stood up for me. I find it really tough to give anybody that title while they're still at the club, because you're kind of waiting to see what else they can achieve, what else they can get done, what other heights they can hit, and that's just something I think we all four of us on this panel we have hopes that Kevin De Bruyne can lift the Champions League trophy, and I think if he goes on to do that, you know, you have a pretty good argument to say he is the best Manchester City player of all time. I think you've got a pretty good argument if you say he is now. It's really hard to argue with his numbers and his consistency. I mean, he played in a Pellegrini team as well, and he was pretty good in the Pellegrini team too. So he was able to, through all of Pep's transitions, all the different styles of play that Pep Guardiola decided to implement, Kevin De Bruyne was able to fit in like a glove. So that's another testament to how good he is as a football player. But I don't know. Everybody's going to have their own opinions. I mean, the slightly older lot, like my granddad would have told me about the likes of Colin Bell and Franny Lee, and then into the 90s, people love Kincladsey and these kind of people. It's just a matter of like who makes you feel the most nostalgic and who you appreciate the most. And like we've all agreed, Aguero is probably that for us. But people from different generations and appreciate different things are going to have different heroes.
Yeah, it's the reason I like talking about it is because you hear, I'm sure all four of us on this panel, I probably heard like parents, grandparents, older people in the pubs at the games, everyone, as you say, Hugh, talking about the likes of Colin Bell. Obviously, didn't get to see Colin Bell play, but you listen to what people say, describe his performances, and you can see little bits of what he's done. And you think, it would have been great to see him, because especially growing up as a City fan, when I was watching City growing up and City were crap, you know what I mean? They were really awesome. Probably say the same for most of us, I guess. So to hear these people talk about this generational talent in Colin Bell, I mean, he is known as the king, you know what I mean? Colin the King and that. Does he need to be honoured? Obviously, we've got a lot of new statues. Do we need a new statue for Colin Bell somewhere? Get something new. Steve, you said you talked to your dad and obviously your granddad when he was going to the games. Give us some memories about what they used to say about Colin Bell, because I'm sure it was the same for all of us.
Well, his nickname was Nijinsky after the racehorse. My granddad used to tell me that they had these shows on ITV and all that where he'd do these like fitness challenges and all that. And he had something mad with his heart rhythm or something. Like he could run and run and run and run, and his heart rate would just basically more or less be the same. So my dad used to say to me, he was the most complete player he'd ever seen. He was up and down the pitch. And I think he was just a legend of Main Road. They loved him, didn't they? United had George Best, we had Bell. And it was just unfortunate he got injured. I think it was Martin Buck and done him. And then my mate was telling me about the time he came back to Main Road. He said it was emotional. Everyone was crying and that. And then, he was supposed to be like you say, he's supposed to have had an unreal engine on him. I think there's a picture from one of the World Cups out somewhere like Mexico or something, and England's got to extra time. And everyone's flat out on the deck, sweating their tits off. And he's just stood there looking as if to say, like, let's get on with it. You know what I mean? So I think he was unique in that way. I've read his book as well. And he comes across as a proper humble guy, and I think he was just the king. I've met old guys in the booze who just got Colin Bell tattooed on their hand, just there, Colin Bell. And it's like, he was probably a superstar in them days. And like you say, we've honoured him with a stand. You know what I mean? We did the stand, and the crown in the back of the home shirts this year is a testament to Colin Bell. So, I mean, we can't have like a fucking army of statues outside the stadium. It'll look a bit mad, but I have been told on the QT that the new family stand thing, it's going to be named the Aguero stand. So I've been told that of somebody at the club. So whether he's talking out of his arse, I don't know, but I think that's fitting for Sergio. It was down at that end, you know what I mean, when he scored that goal. I think Sergio Aguero stand would be great.
Yeah, that's not too bad, is it? Colin Bell stand, Sergio Aguero stand, that'd be pretty decent. Is there any room here, just to throw this in there, lads, I'll come to you on this one. Is there any room for Vinny Company? I mean, captain of the side, you know what I mean, done so much for the football club. Can he be king of Manchester, or is it a bit more difficult for defenders?
I'd see him more of like a prince than a king. I don't know about anyone else.
Nice.
He's got like the young leadership, straight from kind of whenever he signed, was it 2008, straight all the way up, and he kind of grew with the club to becoming this like leader as he kind of got older, and that's almost like what you'd expect like a prince to be almost. This kind of young guy learns from others around him, humble guy, and he grows into the role to become like this leader on the pitch. So I wouldn't really say he was the king of Manchester City, but he's definitely a big leader in our history, yeah.
And is there anyone else, anything else that you can think of, anyone else that can go in there?
I think we've kind of gone over the main ones.
Tevez just for the fun of it.
Balotelli, maybe you give Balotelli for the entertainment he gave us.
Yeah, crazy. Right, to wrap it up, then, I want all four of ours king of Manchester. Right, start with you, Hugh. Who's your king of Manchester?
All time or right now? Because I think we all have the same one for right now.
All time.
Yeah, it's Sergio for me, man. He's just done so much. He's the reason I fell in love with football, Sergio Aguero, properly. So him.
Hugh's putting Sergio Aguero on the throne. Lads, are you putting on the throne?
For me, I think it'd be Colin Bell, because even 15, 20 years ago, whatever, every pub kind of around the Etihad or wherever it would have been, Main Road, you're singing that song, A Drink to Colin the King. So that kind of speaks it itself to me. I think he's got to be the king.
Steve, who's the king, man?
Sergio. Sergio, 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 Sergio.
Look how much merch has this guy got, man? He got more stuff than the club shop.
Sergio, Sergio.
Big Steve's the king of Manchester City, man. Not Sergio.
Nah, it's got to be Sergio, man. For me, I think. Obviously, we grew up getting spoon-fed Colin Bell off these old guys that used to say, "Yeah, you never seen Colin Bell," and you used to be like, "Fucking hell, stop going on about Colin, man." You know, because we used to see like Jamie Pollock and Jerry Creaney and that, and we'd be like, but this older lot now, we're seeing the cream of the crop, and Sergio Aguero, what he did in Manchester, and to bring us that title the way he did, it'll never ever be forgotten in the history of football. And I think we're moving on with the times. There's time for a new king in Manchester now, and it's Sergio. But I've got to say, there's this giant Norwegian goth-looking dude that's that looks like he's making a run for the throne. So in a couple of years, there might be a Norwegian army at the gates, and they might be ready to storm.
To redo this video in a few years, man. When he scored the 270 goals or whatever to get the record. My king is going to be. I'm going to give it Kevin De Bruyne, man. Honestly, like I say, for me, I think he's now hit that level that I just watch him and I think, nah, you're the best player I've ever seen play for Manchester City. Yeah, I mean, he just is for me. So he's my king. No one for David Silva, man.
I know, but it's hard. It's a so tough conversation. We love them all. You know what I mean? It's not like I just think what that when I talk about the 93-20 moment and I try and tell people the feeling in the stands and the way everyone just erupted and went on the pitch and then it was like I can't. It's the only bit of football footage I ever watch back, and it gives me goosebumps. Yeah, and he created that moment for me, you know, of all people. And like you say, it's just for me, Sergio just edges it. But everyone that we mentioned today is fantastic in their own way.
Well, there you go, guys. King of Manchester. Let us know your King of Manchester in the comments section below. Not one of us has put David Silva on the throne. What's all that about? Give us the abuse in the comment section below. Make sure you go check out Big Steve on the socials, Instagram and YouTube at Big Steve MCFC. You know where to find lads as well, MCFC lads. Me and Hugh giving you daily content on City Extra. Guys, hope you've enjoyed this one, and we'll catch you in the next one. See you in a bit. Right, just stay away.